I got up this morning at 3:30, worked all weekend long on a feasibility study. So I said, I want to go fishing. And some of my guys I go to Sunday school with, they were coming down to go fishing, and they had invited me, and I told them I was kind of non-committal on the thing, but I went fishing today. So I get up and I drive down. It's raining halfway down. I think, man, this is really going to be bad. But anyway, I go fishing, and when I get down here, immediately the phone starts ringing. I said, man, we got a problem. What do you mean you got a problem? I'm out in the middle of the lake. Out in the middle of Laguna Madre out here. What's the problem? The problem is we got more water than we know what to do with. I said, wait a minute. We've been praying for this for several years, and now we've got it and we're complaining? We might ought to rethink this deal. But there are some folks that are in danger tonight, in peril tonight because of water. Too much water. Uvalde is one big lake right now. Leona River is, which flows into the Nueces, is full. It's flooded or running out of its banks, and it comes right downtown Uvalde, Texas. So pray for the people in Uvalde. Pray for the people in Hondo, D'Hanis. How many of you know where D'Hanis is? There we go. I got kinfolk in D'Hanis. Anyway, who would have thunk it? But hopefully we'll get a little more water in Lake Corpus Christi from this deal. So what do? We preserve, protect, and develop surface water resources. That includes, if it says flood, doesn't have to say control, irrigation, navigation, water, wastewater, or water quality, we can do it. If it says financing, parks and recreation, those kind of things, we can do it. We've got a broad authority. We can do it in that 17,000 square mile, 21 county region, or we can do it outside that region, anywhere in the state of Texas, if asked to do so. So that's why we're going into some other regions with this water. And I mentioned previously that we are the political sponsor for Region N, and I'm a voting member of Region L. 91 years. The other day, oh man, board members, 21 of them, it's like herding cats sometimes. Now, I didn't say that. Jane asked you, just tell her I was bragging on them, all of them, but sometimes it's like herding cats. And I got a couple of them on a grandstand, and one of them made a statement, well, man, you're going to be out of cash in August if you don't do this or that. What? Look, we're not going broke. And one of the kind TV reporters here in Corpus Christi picked that up and wrote a hit job, took a hammer and tried to beat us over the head with it. But we're not going broke. In the 7 years that I have been here, this is my 8th budget I'm proposing. Is there some problems? There are some problems. Are there solutions? We're finding them. We're working on it daily to find those solutions. This isn't the first time this has happened to us. That we're not the only governmental entity right now in a budget problem. There's a bunch of them in the budget problem because there's this deal called inflation that has killed us, just killed us. Gas is now $3.45 again. I just filled up before I got back down here. $3.45 for a gallon of gasoline, I'd have never thought that when I was a kid. I was 17 years old, filling up for 17 cents a gallon in Robinson, Texas, where I grew up. That's back during the time they had the wage and price freeze. Remember that? Way back when, was that Nixon or Carter? I think it was Nixon, yeah. Weighed 17 cents and he froze it. Was having a big gas war in Robinson. He froze the prices. I was one happy kid, man. $2. I was driving a car all week. I was having a good time. So anyway, where was I going with that? Oh, we're not going broke. We have had these problems before. We got them now. It's a little bit exaggerated when you're a river authority. You say, why? Why is it exaggerated? It's exaggerated because we have taxing authority. We can levy a tax. We've never done it. And good luck getting that done in 2026, levying the first tax for a river authority. It's not going to happen. Nobody's going to want to pay a tax. I don't like paying taxes anyway, so I wouldn't propose it. But we only make money if we sign a contract with somebody. So the contracts we have that we're working on now was signed last year. The contracts we're going to work on next year were signed this year. There's no way in the dickens you can go back in and raise those contracts. You can just get additional contracts. We've had some federal grants. Federal grants are going away, and I'm in favor of them going away because everybody's getting these huge grants, and we don't, as a country, we don't owe it to one another to fix each other's infrastructure because we ignored it for 50 years and it needs fixed. We ought to fix that ourselves. I'm a believer in everything paying for itself. So I'm not opposed to that. I'm just telling you that it's tougher in a river, Florida, to make it work. You say, well, have you made it work? Well, when I got there, we have, over the past 7 years, we have doubled our budget 7 times. 7 times. We're not doing that this year. And that's why everybody's got their hair on fire. Obviously, my hair caught fire several years back, but it's tough. We will get through this. There's no other option. We got to get through it. So we've been around 91 years. We'll get through this one too. So I just wanted to bring that up. We're not going broke.
What do you do with the revenue you get?
What we do with the revenue we get is we employ people to do resource planning, water quality testing, and we do project management. We do, oh, you got new batteries. All right. Well, while he's working on batteries, I'll shout a little bit. We do financing deals with, a city of, little city over here, just east of us. Oh, it's up on 35, the little highway 35. Anyway, they need a new wastewater plant, so what we did is we financed it. We helped them get the financing for it. We helped San Patricio County finance the Green Lake Dam. You'll remember a few years back that dam collapsed out there on the golf course. We helped them refinance that and get that up through a conduit financing. We helped the city of Corpus Christi through the Mary Roads pipeline. We financed that for the city of Corpus Christi back in the day. The port helped us with that too, by the way. But it was the perfect triangle: the port, city of Corpus Christi, Nueces River Authority, all working together. And thank goodness somebody had the foresight to put the Mary Roads pipeline in, because you wouldn't have any water today if they hadn't. So those are the kind of things we do, and that's what we do with the monies. So we can kind of pass through this. This is just the planning areas and what it looks like. What I really want you to know is that we've got one huge water problem in South Texas, not just the coastal bend. We've got a water problem in Region L too, which is up around San Antonio. And if you look at, it goes to from Uvalde over to Victoria. I was just telling somebody I've got 2 kids and 5 grandkids in Victoria. I used to be director of utilities, water utilities in Victoria. I want those people to have water. And so we're concerned about all those things. Today, well, that's wrong. It's 2026. In 2030, your water deficit, this is the deficit, this is projected shortages, 202 million gallons a day in South Texas, Region L and Region N. You look at that in 2080, look at that, 508 million gallons a day of shortages. So somebody had to come up with something. And I got the board in executive session. I told them, hey, look, here's what I think we need to do. And we solicited an unsolicited proposal to the port to build the plant on Harbor Island. And it was, I had to make sure my little light was on. It was designed from the start and designed today to be a P3 type arrangement, a public-private partnership. Byrum, what are you doing? I know you're an old man. You can't remember your name from one night to the next. Your wife reminds you of that every night. What are you doing? Why are you putting it together P3? Well, there's several reasons for that, okay? The first and foremost reason is there's not a municipal government, there's not a municipal water supply unit in the world that is running their own seawater desal plant. There's only one that's been proposed. I almost hit it with a golf ball. If I was, it'd go right or left, I'd probably slice it. But anyway, yeah. Nothing wrong with that if that's what they want to do, okay? You know, the plant's needed. You need more than just what we're going to be able to build here. But in any case, no one in the world is running their own plants. They're experts that do this, and we're going to tell you about those in a few minutes. So that's the first thing, okay? I've got an A water license and an A wastewater license in the state of Texas. I've had those for 25, 30 years. They are the highest level of certification you can get. You'd think, well, you can run anything. Well, no, I can't run an RO plant. You know, I have run one, and it's under my sink. My wife's got a kidney issue, and it's under my sink. So every 6 months, I take the cartridges out, put new cartridges in. Easiest thing I've ever done in my life. Trust me, this is not. So running a seawater desal is different, okay? So we're looking at a huge deficit of 508 MGD. Remember 508, okay? Because we're not going to get there with what we're doing. All right, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So what we do in water planning is we come up with strategies to meet that, okay? So we got some desal strategies that you desalinate brackish groundwater that you're pumping out of the ground. You can desal that, and there's a certain amount of that that's viable and good. I know that the San Antonio water system is trying that now. They built a 30 MGD, 30 million gallons per day. When I say MGD, that's million gallons per day. Desal plant for brackish water. They're getting 9 through it. They can't pump any more than 9 MGD through it. You say, why? Because what happens is it may for a few days run at 25 or so, but as that brackish water hits those screens, it starts clogging it up and rusting it up because it's very aggressive water, and that's what's happening. It just clogs it up and you can't pump it through there. The RO membranes are designed to take all 30, but they can't get 30 to it. So those are the issues you got with brackish water. Fresh groundwater, we're pumping fresh groundwater more than we're getting recharged in these aquifers, and that bothers me for my grandkids. Surface water, we know what's happening in the surface water. We're in Texas, a bunch of it goes up in the sky every day. Evaporation, transpiration's killing the feed supply, the recharge of these reservoirs. Something else I might add on these reservoirs, look at the age of the dams that are holding this water back. Folks, some of them older than I am. And I've been, you know, I got a knee replacement. We were just talking about that. Somebody's got to fix some dams around here, or we're going to be in big trouble, okay? So that just something else I'm leaving for food for thought as I retire here in a few years. Those are the kind of things that we do. We plan these strategies so that the Texas Water Development Board can include them in the state water plan. The state water plan is published and passed, and it's looked upon by the financing people and everybody else, and right now it's showing a huge, huge gap. You'll remember a few months back, this is another deal they dinged me on. He said, well, you didn't qualify for the loan through the SWIFT, through this, let's say, State Water Infrastructure Fund of Texas, the SWIFT loan. That's not the case at all. That's not what happened. You know, I get tired of telling these stories all the time. What happened was, it's the first time that the SWIFT has been around. It's been around 10, 12 years, something like that. First time that they've had more demand, more request for money than they had money to give out. Well, when you look at our project, now this is where I really take issue with the Texas Water Development Board. If you look at the grading on ours, we came out the 13th. Well, they had enough money to fund the top 10. We didn't get any money. That's another reason that I decided that we needed a P3 partnership, because private money is going to build the plant. And in this case, the plant is about 1/2 of the money needed to build this new Water for South Texas plant. So that's going to be private dollars, and it goes through the private partnership, which we'll talk about in a minute. Those are the kind of things we do. We've got strategies almost to meet that 508. Now, strategies, somebody's got to implement them. somebody's going to take these big shots, wake up in the morning, put your armor vest on and go to work. It gets harder and harder to do every now and again. But, and implement the policies. This is just showing that. Here's our timeline. We are behind our timeline right now by a couple of months, and we're looking for funding. Funding is the big deal. Trump had the big ask when he was down here. He was talking about the big ask. We are planning to go see them one more time. Folks, somebody's got to give us some money. We need to get started on this project. It was never our intent, by the way, going back to the nasty article that was written, it was never our intent to use water reservation fees to design the plant. No one can afford that. That's not the way you do it. You get a water reservation fee to get people online working in a group to design the plant, get the money to design the plant, and to develop the plant. You don't use water reservation fees to fund the plant. It ain't gonna happen. Okay, so we reached the 30 acres. We have a 50-year extension or agreement with the port, and a 30-year extension of that agreement can be issued upon mutual agreement of both parties. A plant is built for about 50 years of operating time. Then it's going to need some severe work. So hopefully we can rework it. My successor can rework it and get it done. We have pipeline easements from the port that they gracefully gave it to us. All the improvements on the property will be owned by the NRA and the private developer. And the port got the facilities permits and water rights for us, and they're going to convey those to us through the lease agreement, which has pretty much been done. So 30-year take-or-pay agreements, that's how, you see that down there, that's how you finance a plant, okay? And you say, well, if they reserve, let's say somebody reserved 10 million gallons like Kyle, Texas did, 10 million gallons a day. You get an agreement when you get to about 35 to 40% of design, you can come up with a price of what the water's going to cost you and what the conveyance is going to cost you, the electricity, the labor, the chemicals, the whole bit. And you go to the city of Kyle and you sit down with them and here's our price per 1,000 gallons. And you signed up for 10 million, so your price is this, okay? You say, well, how about if they don't take it all? They got to pay for it anyway. Well, that's not fair. Wait a minute. It's fair. And here's the reason why. When you plan a utility system, especially a water or a wastewater system, you have to plan it on the worst moment. You have to plan for the worst moment. Downtown's on fire. It's flooding, whatever. The mayor's, phone's broke or whatever, can't get a hold of her or him or whoever. But you have to plan for the worst moment. So when you plan for the worst moment, the maximum size has to go in the ground on day one, okay? So you got to have the size in there when everybody's drawing water and it's been in a drought for 3 months. Everybody's drawing water, you still got to have water to fight that fire. That's what you got to plan for. So that's why take-or-pay agreements have been the way of the past and will be the way of the future. The electrical distribution facility, I've heard a lot of talk about that, and everybody says, well, you're not going to get your electricity in time. You just waited too long. It's not going to work. Well, I'm here to tell you that the big demands are demands over 70 megawatts. They are the ones you have to wait in line for. Ours magically turns out to be 65 megawatts. So we don't know. We're not. Boy, you're talking about sweating it. Now I was sweating it a little bit till I found out that our demand is 65 megawatts with the pump station. It's 65 megawatts. So we'll get our electricity in time. So we got 6 miles of pipeline to go out into the Gulf. Under the Gulf of America. I got in trouble in the governor's office the other day because I didn't say Gulf of America. I said Gulf of Mexico. Mexico doesn't own that. Okay. So there it is, the intake pipe and the discharge pipe. Going to tunnel under San Jose Island at a minus 67 feet. below. You say, why do you go so deep? Well, if you don't go that deep, what you're boring in becomes a big funnel because everything on top is going to fall in. So you have to go down till you got good solid soil down there and bore through there, and you build the pipe as you go. The pipe is in concrete segments. Okay, we have the permits for that.
Hey John, can you point out more details about where the plant is, where the ferry is, and all that?
I sure can. Sure. And let me see if I can.
Where the red line is.
Okay.
No, this is the west of it, the blue line.
Okay.
The dotted line.
So the ferry landing
Yes.
is about right here.
No,
isn't
no,
it?
no. It's to the left of that. See where the dotted line is?
Right here. Oh,
Yeah.
there we
More
go.
left, yeah.
There we go. Oh, yeah. There's the ferry. Okay. There it is. Here's the plant. All right. The green part is the plant. The little blue part is the pump station. The outfall line is the red line, San Jose Island here. And then we're going to have to bore the overwhelming majority of this coming under Redfish Bay to get to Aransas Pass. When you get to Aransas Pass, we can open cut it. We can actually dig above the ground, bury the pipe, put it in, and then come back in and weld it from the inside and fix the coating from the inside.
And
That's
John,
the way that's
please,
done.
Excuse me. Tell them the intake is about 3 miles out into the water, and the discharge is 3.5 miles out into the water.
That's correct.
And that's in 37 feet of water.
37 feet of water. That is the other big deal that we'll talk about here in a minute, that we only had a few protests, us, and the reason why is we're in 37 foot of water. We did what they wanted to do. We're spending $1.5 billion to put those two pipes in. You say, why you do that? Well, you do it so you can continue to expand it as you trying to reach that 508. We can't get to 508 on this side, but we can get close. Okay. Oh, there's the minus 67. The blue line here is the minus 67 feet as you're going across. There's the length of it going out. And when you get out there, I'm going to show you in a minute what it's going to look like when it turns up on the inside, on the under the Gulf. That's what it's going to look like. Okay, these little points here, these are screens that are designed basically like the others around the world. The velocity across there is very important. You can't exceed 0.5 foot per second. If you exceed that, then you'll suck in larvae and those kind of things, and you'll affect the environment around it. So this is up off the Gulf floor about 7 or 8 foot, and all the water comes into here and then back into the plant, so through the suction manifold. So these are 5-foot headers here, 60-inch pipe. All that together gets you will allow you to take in about 380 million gallons.
To one pipeline?
I'm sorry?
To one pipeline?
To one pipeline.
Okay.
Now, the reason why you take that in is because a seawater plant is not as efficient. If you have a gallon coming in, you only get about 0.5 gallon out. So you got to plan for that waste that's going back out the other end. Same thing with the waste in. Let me see if I've got a drawing of that. I just happen to have a drawing of that. This is the diffuser that'll be under at 37 feet plus under the Gulf of America, or on the floor of the Gulf of America, and it is spitting out the brine. Okay? You say, how strong is that brine? Not as strong as it is planned to be today. And the reason why is we got people calling us on a weekly basis wanting to use the salt in that brine.
Really?
Oh, they're running us nuts. And I'll tell you, that's a good thing. And the reason why is because why don't we let them have it? We get them to pay for it, and we lower your water rate.
What do they want it for?
Well, Elon Musk has a battery plant not too far from here, and they have found out that you can take salt, sodium chloride, and make batteries.
Lithium?
And lithium, it's got some lithium in it. It's also got magnesium. Now I want to say that I'm saying the right thing. Magnesium sulfate,
Okay.
which is used to make titanium. Sorry. The Baptist preacher in me ain't coming out, is it? Told you I wasn't. Right now we depend on the Chinese for all of the magnesium sulfate that goes in titanium made in this country. And when we get this going, if we were to sell to them, then all of the demand for the magnesium sulfate in this country can be made right here through using this water. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. Man, just think how that's going to look at Christmas when I'm telling my grandkids, hey, you know what your old... No, I'm just kidding. So that's a little bit about the conveyance line. The conveyance line will be 84 inch. That's a big pipe. You can run one of them little Beetles, Volkswagen Beetles to an 84 inch pipe probably. And it'll go 84 inch up to about Pleasanton. Then it bifurcates, it wides. A 48 goes over into Medina County, and a 72 goes up into eastern Bexar County. We've got about 8 people up there that have signed up and want about 30 MGD right now is what they've signed up for. Now this is what I'm really proud of, and your port not only has one of the best infrastructures in the world to do what they do over here with carbon energy and looking to expand that to green energy and be the biggest port in the United States with respect to green energy, and I hope that happens. But they are really good. They've got a really good engineering department, and you'll see that the lease for the offshore intake from the General Land Office, the agency there is the GLO of Texas. It's already been received. The offshore water rights permit, which nets us 100 MGD production through the plant, has already been received. The Section 404, which is a necessary permit from the Corps of Engineers, already been done. And the easement amendment is been submitted. So we are well on our way to get ready for the September or October approval of our discharge permit. The reason why we haven't had those kind of issues is because we did what everybody said it was going to do, what we told everybody was going to do. We're going to go to deep water. We never asked the port for the other permit. They never offered it, and they wouldn't have given it to us if we had asked for it. And we knew that. We didn't want it because there's too much opposition to it. It's still in the courthouse, I guess. You know, I guess there's still some opposition to it. But we will get our 100 MGD net discharge permit in the fall of this year. Good news story. And the port's done that. How much will this cost? Total cost is about $6.4 billion. We think we can get it done for 6.2, but in any case, it's a lot of money, okay? A lot of money. With everybody pulling on the rope, we'll make it happen. Especially 3.2 billion of it is for the plant. And at that, it will be paid for by the development partner, which we'll talk about in a minute. So half of it, everybody's going to pull on the rope to pay for, and the other half will be pulling on the rope with the development partner to pay them back, okay? We have found a source that is not listed up there. We got state participation loans that we wanted to try to get, and I don't think we'll get those because I don't think the state has the money to do it, okay? You'll probably be hearing that we're going to ask the state for some money to help us through the legislative session, and we're going to ask for a big pot of money. For every $1 billion we get, we can lower the cost of treated water by $2 per 1,000 gallons. That's huge. That's significant. So that's a big deal. The cost worldwide is between $10 and $15 per 1,000 gallons. We're in that range at the 6.4. We have found a source of financing at 3/8 over Federal Reserve through the Department of Energy, because there are some energy impacts if this project is not built or we don't get water here in South Texas.
John, can you explain the other $3 billion? What was that expense? You said 3.2 for the plant.
3.2 for the plant and 3.2 for 3 pump stations and 192 miles of conveyance piping. installed.
And the piping to the offshore, is that part of 3.2
That's
billion?
part of the 3.2 that
3.2?
they're going to do.
Got it.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
6.4 billion takes your water all the way to Kyle, Texas?
yeah. Yes, all the way to Kyle, Texas.
The state of Texas said they will pay for the conveyance when I met with Charles Perry's office. You remember?
I want you to go with me. Yeah, I want you to go with me.
I was there with that office.
I like Charles Perry. Don't get me wrong. He's a good Texan and he's a smart man, but I've never heard that come out of his mouth.
I did.
Now, he had a grid that he wants and he's going to try it again. And maybe he'll get that through. I hope he does. But at this time, 95% of the capacity is sold. That's when I came here in February. Today, 100% of the capacity is sold from the plant. 100%. That's the people that bought it. That's the people going to be tugging on the rope with us to make the payment on this bad boy. Okay.
Please? Yeah.
Go back to slide.
No, this one. Yeah. No, that one. No. The next one has all the who bought the water.
Yeah.
Who bought the water? Okay, that's them right there. Bunch of smaller water supplies. Some of them might just have a half a million gallons a day.
I can't read.
Green Valley, East Central Special Utility District. That's in Bexar County. Springs Hill. That's in Lavernia, Texas. Benton City, which is south of Castroville. I'll drive through there coming down here. El Oso, which is in Kennedy or Karnes City, one of the two are in between that serves them. S&S Water Supply, City of Hondo, City of Lytle, City of Castroville, McCoy Water Supply, Crystal Clear Special Utility District, City of Divine, City of Portland, City of Kyle, City of Pleasanton, Jourdanton, Lavernia, and the City of Corpus Christi. They bought a 50 million gallons. So the total population served is 1.466 million people. We split it up when we're asking for the 1.03, some of that $1.038 billion grant that the Texas Water Development Board is advertising now. We put a phase in to get under 1 million people. Why'd you do that? So we could get eligible to get some money. That's why we did it. So we got a phase one that's coming to Corpus Christi, Texas, and the City of Portland. So with those, we have less than 1 million, so we can qualify to up to $35 million worth of that grant. In my heart of hearts, we're going to get some of that grant. We may not get all 35 million, but we're going to get a good chunk of it. And that's exactly what we need right now to push us forward.
How many gallons at Corpus Christi Reserve
50 million gallons a day.
a day?
A
How
day.
about Kyle, Texas? How many do they get?
10.
And is Corpus the biggest?
Corpus is the biggest. They're
50
half
million
of
gallons.
they're half of the capacity. Yes, sir. Okay, so we are in the process now we've already selected IDE Technologies, which is a part of IDE Water Assets. IDE stands for Israeli Desal Engineers. They are very, very experienced folks. Let me tell you why we did it. Worldwide, they have designed, constructed, and financed 400 seawater desal plants. They treat over 10.5 billion gallons of seawater into drinking water every day. Every day. They know what they're doing. They're huge. Let me play you a little deal about IDE. Then we'll talk about them some. Is this going to work?
Yeah, there you go.
I mean, is the volume working? Ah, hold on. Oh, the volume ain't gonna work. Okay, so I'll tell you about it. That's the ship channel I just started. That's the state of Texas. The good old Texas flag. That is talking about the growth. 51.5 million people are supposed to be in Texas by the time we get through. That is the Nueces River up that is flooded right now. That's the part that's flooded. The annual gap is worth about in gross. If we don't reach that, that's what they're talking about. $160 billion annually will be lost. 100 MGD plant Somebody asked me the other day, hey, how do you know these people can build this plant in 3 years? I know it because they built a 174 million gallon plant in 2 years and 8 months. They're not the problem. We're the problem trying to get the pipeline put in. That's going to be the issue. That's the Soric desalinization plant, which I have not seen, but I'll see later this year because I'm going to Israel to see it. Carlsbad I've seen, Santa Barbara I've seen. I've been to Fort Lauderdale. That's the new plant they're building down there. And they have just flat got after that one too and done it in quick time. That's some of those intake screens. You've got to have half. You notice these fish aren't up against it, you know, like it's sucking them in because of the slow velocity that is required across those things. And it's just something about the desal piping and what they do. Now, let me tell you real quick, because I know time is getting away from us here. They capture, somebody asked me, what is the pressure going across those membranes to remove the salt? It's about 1,000 PSI is what it takes to get across those membranes. This company takes and recovers that pressure and sends it back in line so that it doesn't cost the same amount of money for the next batch of water that it did the first batch of water. So that is one of the things that we really like about them is they got an energy recovery system that they designed on themselves. And the other thing is because they build this plant modularly. Most of this plant will be put together in either Portugal or Spain or Israel or, you know, someplace over there. And brought over on a boat, and we just happen to be at a point to where they can just offload it on the boat, put it together once it gets here, while the concrete and that's being done over here. That's why they can do this in 2 years and 8 months, if push come to shove.
John, in one of the slides, you noted that the cost per 1,000 gallons of desalinated water is $10 to $15. The cost per 1,000 gallons of non-desalinated water in my water bill is, I think, $5, less than that, which means the water bill's going up.
Yeah, it's going to go up.
Which is no issue. I mean, it's just...
Well, you know, I tell the grandkids about that too. At least it's wet. You know, at least it's wet. You'll have water to drink. Yeah, it's going to go up, and our kids are going to pay more for water than we paid. You know, and I got 2 kids that are struggling. You know, 2 of my daughters struggle. You know, to make ends meet, and they got kids at home. And I know it's tough, but the cost of not getting water is a whole lot greater than the cost of paying $10 to $15 for water. Now, the other thing we can do is they will blend this water with water they've got, so they'll blend that cost down.
And my point wasn't that it's expensive at all. My
point
I see, is that water is valuable, and we take it for granted.
For granted.
You brush your teeth and leave the water running for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Wash your hands and do the same thing.
Yeah. And the same people that are complaining about the water bill now are buying bottled water, and it's probably in 1,000 gallons of bottled water would cost you what?
More than gasoline.
More than gasoline, amen. Did you have a question, ma'am?
Yeah, just a quick question. Do you have any projected operating costs?
We do. We have all those broken down, and they're all put together in that $10 to $15. The labor, the electrical, the chemical, the maintenance, that's all included in that.
And our current is $5 without.
Yeah, about $5 a thousand. Yeah. Okay, so you know, I got to ask you a question. You know, I kind of got it in with one of our U.S. Congresspersons. I don't get it. This plant here can be expanded to at least 375 where it's sitting on Harbor Island, on the 30 acres that we've got reserved. We can go to at least that. The other plant in the area is 30 million. It can't be expanded, okay? I don't understand why people, this one serves a huge region, that serves a city. I don't get why we can't get the support we need from the capital, the nation's capital. And I'm arguing with these people all the time. And, I know they can't stand me. They don't like to see me come in their office. And that's fine. One of them his son played basketball with my grandson. And I'd see him, and I could tell, he's looking for people to sit by because he didn't want me to sit by him at the ball games. And that's fine. But, folks, I want to tell you that it makes a lot of sense to me that if you got a plant that can be expanded, you support that one and you get behind that one and you go regardless. And if they want to run it, at one time NRA could have got out of the way and let them do it. But it's environmentally sound. We went to deep water to discharge. We're pulling water out of the deep water, and the infrastructure that we're putting in, the piping will not go for the complete 375 because we can't put it in. You say why? Because the water would go stale before it got to where it was going. So we got water age issues if we put a pipe in that. And the other thing you got is pipe over 84 inches really gets difficult to work with and really gets difficult to make and ship and everything else. You got to have you got to bring it in. This pipe will either be made in Paris, Texas or Saginaw, Texas, which is just north of Meacham runway there in Fort Worth. And it'd be hard to get it here if it was any bigger than that. So, but anyway, it's sufficient for growth up to about 200 MGD, which is sufficient, we feel like. Our desal partner, I wanted them to be here with us tonight. They can't, they were busy, but they have over 60 years experience building plants. These 400 plants that they're operating around. I really think that's important. They have deep pockets. But on top of that, they can finance the thing very easily. But on top of that, they're very cost effective. They're conscious about the cost of your water. And I think that's huge for what we're doing here. Yes, sir.
Okay, I got a couple questions.
All right.
You're going to get a permit hopefully in the fall.
Yes, sir.
So you'll sign a contract with the Israelis when? And when will they start building?
Okay, that's a good question. We will sign a pre-development contract with them. We have agreement on the issues. I received the contract, as long as you don't tell anybody out in the news, it's in my inbox. It's under attorney-client privilege. I'm not going to let these people negotiate the contract for us. Oh my God. But anyway, I'm hoping within 2 weeks we will have our board come together and give a heads up or heads down on it. Every vote we've had so far has been unanimous to build the plant. I expect a unanimous vote with this because they've already looked at 12 of the 14 tenets of the agreement and they agreed with the 12. We were still negotiating the other 2. That's what took the last 3 or 4 weeks. We're wordsmithing the agreement now, so I think in the next couple of weeks we'll get an approval for the pre-development agreement, which takes us through about 35% design. And at that point in time, they're going to come back with a cost of water that will be close enough to the cost of water that we can go get take-or-pay agreements and finance the thing at that point in time. You ask how long that's going to take? They're telling us 120 days. They've done so many of them. They've got their own engineering department. They're not using the local engineering group for design of the plant. They're doing it themselves because they've done it time and time and time again. So I think that's important.
And who are they?
Israeli Desal Engineers, IDE. And look them up. They've got a website. They've got a U.S. Group run by Lehi Turstein, and she lives up in New York, I guess, up in that area. She flies in from Newark, so I'm just assuming she lives up there.
And when is this thing going to go online?
That question's been asked before, and I was saying December 2029. We got to get water to you by December 2029. Well, a couple things happened. Number one, we got rain, and number two, it's getting real close to December 2029, and I don't have it funded yet. So here's what I'm telling people: 3 years from the day the money hits the bank.
Okay.
3 years, I will guarantee you that it will be done.
So that's the time it takes to build the thing and get it in operation.
Yeah, and the problem's not the plant, because these people have done that before. The problem's going to be boring those pipelines. That's going to be the problem. If we hit cobbles or something, we got an issue. Yeah,
So
it'd take a
tell
little
us
time.
again what funding you have in place.
We have spent, this is, okay, what I'm going to tell you. We are very low on funds right now in that account, all right? That's because it took $4.1 million for us to get it to this point, okay? We're at the point that others are at, and they spent $250 million. We spent $4 million, and we got it to this point. We're getting private people to come in and help us from here out to develop this. So it's not going to take a whole lot more to get us to the point where we've got water pricing, that we can go get water pricing agreements with the people that have signed these water
So
reservations.
that list of people that have signed have only signed conceptually because they don't know a price yet.
Here's what they did. They signed an agreement to reserve water in the treatment plant.
With money or no money?
With money. No, that's where we got the $4.7 million.
So you've got the funding.
We've got $600,000 left to get us through to the next stage.
Not a lot of money.
That's not a lot of
How much
money.
is this whole thing gonna cost?
$6.4 billion.
Good God.
We think we can do it with 6.2. But you say, man, that's high. But you know,
I'm not
the
saying it's
Guadalupe
high.
Blanco
It's a lot of
River
money.
Authority is putting a project together at $6.7 billion, and it's only half the water this one's got. People are just, we're scraping the bottom of the bucket to get water. All the sources are gone, you know. We've used all the good water. Now what we got left is the expensive water, and we got lots of it, by the way.
So who's gonna operate this facility when it's operational?
If I was still here when it gets operational, I would say let IDE do it all,
Amen.
and let them answer to us on an annual basis for financing and stuff like that. And that's worked before, you know, in with river authorities. That's what I do. What they do, I don't know, because I'm not going to be here in 3 years. I'm telling you, I'm tired. I've got holes all in me. I drink water and it just pours out. All the gun. I'm kidding. I'm glad.
Your slide showed 500,000 reserved by the city of Corpus.
Is actually 50 million.
I'm sorry, 50 million.
Yes, sir.
Decimal point wrong. How does that relate to what their Inner Harbor project is projected to produce?
Well, it's 1.7 times or so.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they only had 30, but I'm going to tell you, they need something else other than what we're going to give them, and they either have to come back to us for it or otherwise. But again, water cost. You know, and I have to tell these councils that I go see. I'm going to see Kyle's city council here in a couple of weeks, and they're smart. They're really smart people. And what I have to remind them of is that you can blend this cost down by using other sources, and they've got like 3 other sources up there that are very cheap water. Kyle, Texas has cheap water. They got a big debt now because they're growing so fast, but they got cheap water. So they can blend that down, and that's important. So that's why I'll probably be approaching folks like the San Patricio Municipal Water District. I think it would be prudent. We're going to be right by their facility with an 84-inch line. I think it'd be prudent for them to pull some of that water off of there and let them send the bills to their customers who are hollering at us for water right now, because they need $250 million worth of infrastructure improvements just to increase their supply at this point in time. Anything else? I've kept y'all a long time, and I'm sorry.